I did notice after the game, before the game, Deion said, make sure for the handshake you keep the cameras rolling after that game. He said this before the game started. But once the game was over, and then they shared the moment, Jay Norvell clearly said something to Deion, maybe somewhat on the line of an apology. I'm only guessing, but based on the reaction, I sort of got that sense. And then what Deion said afterward, he didn't really point out anything specifically about Jay Norvell in that regard. Like he said, hey, I'm happy for the brother. Anytime a black man becomes a head coach is a big deal, blah, 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 blah. He took the high road in that situation. But for a lot of people in the black community, yeah, like, Jay, what are you doing, dog? Like, what are you doing? What's the purpose of doing this? Because you're just adding to the echo chamber of other people as it relates to what's happening right now. And I'm talking about black coaches specifically, black community, even farther out, we don't need that. We got enough people to do that. Like, there's enough haters for Colorado right now in terms of what Deion Sanders is doing. You don't need it from another black coach.
That's right. Like maybe Kirby Smart's going to pop off someday. That would make more sense than this.
Dabo Swinney probably would be a good
there
candidate.
You go. That's definitely the leader. That's the
yeah.
He's minus 220 on this.
Where's Gundy at? He's still coaching.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. Somebody asked Mike Gundy about it. That makes
Tommy
sense.
Tuberville, former coach. He'd be a guy to say something.
We
know who those people are.
Of course. So listen, I think you're spot on every point. What you just said about the postgame is something I touched on in the opening segment. Deion, I think the perception of him among some is that this guy is just off the cuff and he'll say anything. He's very calculated. He knows what he's doing. He's a very smart man. And I thought the way that he handled the postgame was beautiful. Like, build it up, keep those cameras rolling at the handshake line, build it up. Because I full disclosure, I fell asleep in the fourth quarter. Not intentionally, I just, it was late. But I wanted to stay awake for the handshake line. It's a little bit like when you're watching a TNT doubleheader. Like, I want to stay awake for Charles and Kenny and those guys coming on. Sometimes I just can't do it. But, like, it's a goal to stay awake for those guys. I wanted to stay awake for the postgame. I missed it. But when I woke up and saw it, I was like, he handled this beautifully. This guy said what he said. You built it up and played into it, and then let Lil Wayne make fun of him, let The Rock make fun of him, let your kids make fun of him. And then when it's all over, you got the win. You take the high road. You actually compliment him. I thought that was a masterclass in how to handle that situation.
Look, I know a lot of people don't like Deion Sanders, and the overwhelming majority of those people who don't like him don't know him. I don't know the man personally, right? So I'm not sitting here saying that who you should or should not like, but you can criticize him for whatever reason. One thing you cannot call him is dumb.
Right.
He is not dumb, whether as it relates to football acumen or life in general. He knows exactly what he's doing. This man has been successful his entire life. It's been his goal to be successful. It's a goal to be a superstar and to do big things. He understands how it's done. When he was a television analyst, he understood what it takes to be a good television analyst, someone that viewers want to watch. He clearly knows what it takes to put together a football team and a football coaching staff so far to be this successful. So, look, you can hate on a bunch of stuff that he's doing because, as I said earlier, because it's not your team. Because if it was your team, you'd be behind it like Colorado is right now. But one thing you cannot call this man is dumb. He knows exactly what he's doing.